Good evening. Welcome to our study tonight. Let's get right into In the News, June 28th, 2023. Under New World Order, let me read this to you. 8 signs the control agenda of the globalist is rapidly moving forward. The future is here, and if you enjoy being dominated by control freaks, you're going to love it. Most Americans are totally unaware of any of this, but the globalist agenda is moving faster than you could possibly imagine on planet Earth. Here's 8 signs of its progress. Number 1, starting this September, the EU will mandate that all member states will offer a digital identity wallet to all their citizens. Number 2, digital fingerprints for all Americans has suddenly become Barack Obama's biggest issue. Obama, come on, he needs to retire and get lost. Number 3, a UN proposal to link a global system of digital identification, here's that word again, to our bank accounts. Oh, I heard of this before. It's called you can't buy or sell without a mark. Number 4, the WHO, World Health Organization, adopts a global system of digital IDs and COVID-19 certificates. 5, the U.S. feds are pushing massive amounts about U.S. citizens having data brokers. 6, the Pentagon has been using very creepy online tools to identify and train anyone experiencing direct or dissent or dissatisfaction with the U.S. military. 7, Soros is helping the UN to police hate speech. And 8, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, is constructing a global CBDC system for all central banks to roll out a one world currency. So we're watching things progress quite quickly, especially as it lines up with Revelation. Excuse me. Let me go on to economy and tell you what's happening there. America has less than a decade to turn itself around. It took only 13 days since the signing of the raise the debt ceiling to soar by nearly $600 billion. 13 days. $500,000 is added to our national debt. Are you ready for this? Every single second. Currently, our national debt is $32 trillion. Instead of maximizing growth, supporting small businesses, and making taxes more efficient, or spending less on stupid government giveaways, or just staying out of the way, our politicians, all of them by the way, on both sides, are pushing more debt. So based on the current trajectory, catastrophic default for America is unavoidable. The federal government itself acknowledges that Social Security will run out in 10 years. So if you're 55 or younger and you plan to retire at 65, you will get $0 per month. The sad truth is that all of this is avoidable. If we grow our economy and stop mindless government spending like we did in the 1980s and 1990s, we can grow and get out of debt. But I'm not sure that our government wants to do that. Let me give you another one under economy. The average American has over $54,000 of debt, and home ownership is out of reach for many Americans. A new survey found that Americans would give up social media for a year and even give up the internet for a month in order to be debt-free. But the poll also found that these same Americans, once debt-free, feel that they would be back in debt in less than 3 months. The reasons? 1, rising cost of living. 2, unexpected expenses. 3, the rising interest rates. 4, feeling the need to keep up with others. People's largest debts? Credit cards, mortgages, auto loans, and medical debt. Over 50% of Americans are stressed out because of their debt. And here's the kicker. Home affordability is out of reach for 2 out of 5 Americans, who in polls said in order for them to own a home, they would have to hit a big score on the lottery or inherit a large sum of money or marry someone who is rich. Thank you, Joe Biden. Let me give you a little bit more from the economy. Another shocking statistic. The number of Americans living on the streets, homeless, has risen tremendously this year. Joe Biden and the mainstream media keep telling us that the economy is in great shape, but we continue to get more evidence that directly contradicts that. The middle class is eroding fast in America. Inflation is rising more than paychecks. 52% of families are struggling financially. And those who were once deeply struggling are now back on the streets. Wall Street Journal reports this, that more than 100 cities report huge rises in the homeless populations. Over 600,000 Americans plus sleep on the streets of America every night. In 7 months, San Diego collected 580 tons of trash from the streets and encampments around the homeless. Excuse me. The mayor of that city said the homeless have turned our once beautiful parks into toilets, I'm quoting. And crime has risen all over these major cities. If things are bad now, how bad will the homeless crisis and crime get once we get into the next deep recession? I want you to understand that you can thank your government. A vote for a liberal left in Joe Biden is a vote for economic disaster, just so you understand. Let me give you a little bit more on war, and I know many of you do. Record number of foreigners on FBI terror watch list caught crossing into U.S. via Mexico. You never hear this, and you've not heard this on any media that I know of. This article we need to hear. The Biden administration considers the border closed and under control. But U.S. Border Patrol encountered 464 non-U.S. citizens on the FBI's terror watch list trying to cross the border. And that's only the ones they caught. Here's what you never hear. Over 10,000 Chinese nationals, these are military-aged men, have crossed the southern border and have just been released by the U.S. This past fiscal year. Representative Mark Green, a Republican of Tennessee, reports. Are we insane? 442 members of violent gangs attempted to cross in October of last year. 150,000 illegals have crossed for the 27th consecutive month. That's well over 4 million illegal crossings. That's almost twice the number of people living in all of Mississippi, and it's close to the total number of people living in Alabama. We have just taken in an entire state of illegal aliens, and the Biden White House continues to do absolutely nothing about it. In 50 years, Joe Biden visited the border exactly one time. A 337% increase in crossings compared to the Trump administration of 2017 to 20. He is putting our national security at risk. It is an impeachable offense. Somebody needs to take it up. As we go to religion, let me give you this one. Why our Nashville event was canceled. A Christian university, cancels Promise Keepers event over a pride statement. Belmont University, a Christ Standard student-focused school, according to their website, canceled the Promise Keepers event because Promise Keepers believe, quote, God created human beings as male and female with equal worth and dignity, and there was no mistake in their design, end of quote. That's on Promise Keepers' website. Belmont isn't the only large Christian university facing backlash over this. TCU, Texas Christian University, announced it'll be offering a queer art of drag course where the students enrolled will take on a drag persona and then perform in front of their peers. The course will be taught by Dr. Nino Testa, a drag artist who goes by the name of Maria von Klapp. Okay, here's my opinion. I have no problem with any of this. You heard me right. Evil will do what evil does. My thoughts. Change the names of your schools. Belmont Christian? Really? Don't insult me. You're not Christian. You should be Belmont Beelzebub School. And Texas Christian University, TCU? Are you kidding me? You should be Texas Cardinal University. If you truly are a Christian parent or a student in any one of these universities and you don't leave it, shame on you. Don't call yourself a Christian. Planet. Let me tell you what's new under the planet. America's breadbasket at risk as drought conditions rapidly spread. If you look at a U.S. drought monitor, I want to pull one up for you. There it is. You'll see that almost all of America's heartland is in some state of drought. Kansas, severe drought. Farmers all over mid-America are praying for rain. If it doesn't come soon, 64% of our corn, 57% of our soy from North Dakota to Kansas will dry up. Low humidity, high temperatures, and wind is sucking the moisture out of our crops. It's been more than 30 years since it's been this bad. Big trouble is brewing, and most Americans have no clue to what is happening. Why? Because our media is in a propaganda war over politics. It's all you hear about. Well, Rome is burning up all around us. And I wouldn't count on eating a lot of beef in the year ahead either, because the size of the beef cow herd is the smallest since 1962. Plus, farmers are shelling out much more for large farm equipments, 42% jump in combines alone this year. Even CNN has admitted that we are in a global food crisis. Every day, 25,000 people die in the world from starvation, including 10,000 children. 854 million people in the world right now are undernourished. And high prices will drive that to another 100 million into hunger in the next 12 months. Lastly, in the news, I want to give you some weird news. Schools are now allowing children to identify as cats, horses, and dinosaurs. It would be pathetic and sad if it wasn't so horrible. It's actually happening in the UK. The Telegraph news agency reports that in Wales, one student is said to meow when asked questions by a teacher rather than answering in English. I guess they'll never get a 0 on their papers, at least their audible ones. In other schools, one insists on being addressed as a dinosaur. Another wears a cape and demands to be referred to as a moon. In another school, a student identifies as a horse. And teachers are being instructed not to correct the children because that would be discriminatory. Even in New York, teachers are being warned not to tell parents about children who identify as the opposite sex, non-binary, and yes, a farm animal. I hope the rapture happens pretty soon before these kids grow up to be the first cow lawyers or the first horse biologists or the first cat doctors. We already have a first donkey president. We don't need any more barn animals in the White House. The inmates are running the asylum, and we're raising an entire generation of children who will be the most messed up adults the world has ever seen. That's in the news. I wanted to make it brief tonight because I have a lot to do for John, and I wanted to get right into the Gospel of John.